Hi, my name is Gerhard Schwantner, and welcome to the Sales Enablement weekly show. And today we're going to talk about defining sales enablement. So let's introduce ourselves. Mark?
Hey, thank you. I'm Mark Hunter, the Sales Hunter, and this is going to be a great discussion because how will we define it?
Hi, I'm Siobhan Thatcher. I run Sales Enablement for Ring Central.
Dan Silly, I'm one of the founding members of Sales Enablement Society in South Florida, and I'm the CEO of Telemaximum Consultants.
Michael Labate. I'm the head of program development operations for a social selling program at SAP. Well, I'm really looking forward to collaborate with my colleagues and this new society and the culture that we're developing. And these are changes that are good changes. Yes, they come with challenges. Nothing worth easy is ever doing. But I'm finding that as I'm maturing my career and navigating my path, I'm presented with more than one option in which way I should head. And it's a bit unclear as to what that future looks like, because if I base it off of experience, it's very different. You have to look forward or forward lean. And sales enablement is an opportunity to try new things in the society, learn, fail without harm, learn quickly. And so, yes, it's as much as it is professional transformation, it's very much about my personal journey, as I've shared with you, Gerhard, many times, one-on-one.
Siobhan, let me reflect on a conversation you and I had at the Sales Enablement Society meeting in Florida. I was fascinated by your clarity when it came to the question, what is sales enablement? Can you share the definition that you shared with me then? And then can you also share how it may have changed?
When I look at sales enablement, to me, it's made up of four pillars, if you will. So the first pillar is being able to get the corporate message across. So it's corporate transformation. Does everybody understand what the message is? Are they all saying it the same way or virtually the same way? So I can walk around to any office, any desk, tap someone on the shoulder, regardless of their position in the company, ask what the company does, and the same sort of words come out. So that's the first thing, making sure that we all got the memo. The second part of it is all, now that we have the strategy set and everybody understands go-to-market, do we have all the collateral and assets that we need, and are they up to date? All too often when you go into organizations, collateral assets, they're all over the place. Nobody can find them. Everybody uses email or a tool like Glip or Chatter or whatnot, just trying to find where the data is. So the second part of it is putting it at least accessible from a single location, regardless of where it actually resides, and making a one-stop shop so it's current. Third part of that is it available at the right time during the sales process so that the sales folks aren't inundated or are starving for information. So if you're at a certain stage, I can go to this one-stop shop and you can deliver to me without me having to think about it, the content, the documents, the assets, the videos, whatever you've got that helps me help my customer buy at this stage. And then the last part of it is the tribal knowledge. And really that's the transformation based on the value. So what works, what isn't working, make sure that what does work is proliferated throughout the organization, and make sure what doesn't work is stopped. It also means that folks that are remote, as you know, we're all a global economy now. So how do we make sure that all voices are heard? And you do that through that term tribal knowledge with Seth Godin, but you do that through that. So those are the four pieces of it that I see.
Dan, from your perspective, when you listen to Siobhan's four-part definition, how is yours different?
We're following a process that's been, again, thanks to Michael Labate for pulling it together and really being the driving force in South Florida. There's a strategy in place. We started off where we took a group of analysts, myself, Nicolo, Michael, and Eric, and we got together and we basically decided that we wanted to do this. We wanted to put an effort forth to define a definition for sales enablement. So we started that process, and the first part was a survey. Survey went out to hundreds of people across the organization, across really any area that supports sales enablement. And we got a large number of responses. We took those responses, We gathered the data and we identified, which definitions were being considered. What definitions are something we want to evaluate. And then we went out utilizing Ted Corbin to develop the teams that focused around vendors or around practitioners, around academic. So once we had their rubrics, which they again took the definitions that were being evaluated and developed rubrics around those definitions, we actually met last week, and a very exciting meeting in South Florida where we were able to, as analysts, each of us have a team, and we evaluated the rubric against a specific definition, and then we challenged that rubric. We really tried to consider, what was missing, and then reported back. And now Ted's taking that to the teams. So really excited.
So can you share anything that what the sort of broad brushes of what that definition may look like now?
We were looking for what was potentially missing. So once you evaluated each of the definitions as a whole, you were able to see what each definition was missing as it relates to these rubrics. So now we're challenged as analysts to take what was missing and supplement it within a new definition that's going to be evaluated in Dallas in October.
Michael, I'm really curious now, what was missing?
What we evaluated at Citrix this past week was not the quality of a definition. But what we did instead was we stress test the grading rubric, fancy word for evaluation criteria, so that analysts don't come at this with their bias. They come at this with a collective mindset that spans those four areas: vendor, practitioner, academic, and researcher. The productive output that we learned in doing our video interviews, in one of those examples, what was missing was size segmentation. That sales enablement, when you're looking at evaluating a definition, it needs to consider that large global enterprise, and you know us very well, Gerhard, SAP, 90,000 people, multinational global organization with lots and lots of decision matrix. In some cases can be very challenging from organizations to work with each other, and we figure that out very nicely, I believe, at SAP. But how does sales enablement find a role inside of an organization like SAP or other large organizations? So we found out that the rubrics need to challenge a definition on size segmentation.
So Mark, when you listen to all this, what goes through your mind? Because there's so many different perspectives that converge on the definition of sales enablement, and we're still not there.
We've got to have this entity. We got to have this central cohesive piece. But the question becomes, what are they empowered with? Because is marketing going to control the P&L? Is operations going to control it? Who all is going to control that respective P&L? Which is really going to ultimately weigh as to who's going to have the most ammunition in the battle. So and I think it was said very well. It's going to take on a completely different look for a $20 million company as it will for $1 billion, as it will for a $10 billion company.
Yvonne, I want to go back to your 4 pillars. Do you feel that that process of defining sales enablement is going to demolish your pillars?
I don't think it's going to affect the pillars. We're talking about definition versus process, putting things in play. I mean, when I think about sales enablement, I think about it as a business within a business. And I know you've heard me talk about this in the past, right. Is that I have investors, and the investors give me money for projects, and my quid pro quo is I give them increased productivity. I have a supply chain who are the marketing folks across the various things like Mike was talking about. There's lots of different parts of marketing. There's coming from product management, information's coming from all over. So they give me my information as a supply chain, and my quid pro quo with them is I give them adoption of the information that they're providing. Because as you know, there's random access sales enablement going on all over companies, but I think the company, or the given average is like 80% of the material created is never seen. So I have a relationship, a really strong one with the marketing department to say, when you give me information, it's got to answer two questions. Number one, from a sales perspective, what's in it for me? And number two is, how's it going to help my company buy? Don't just give me a brochure and say, give that out. So as my supply chain, I've got a really good relationship with them to fill that content gap. And then the last part of it, of course, is my customers. And my customers are sales managers. They are my direct customers. My indirect customers are their people. Because my job, as I see it, is now to give them everything that they need to get their job done. And what they give back to me is the tribal knowledge and the increased productivity, and actually using all of these tools that we're using. So as a business, we're in the center of that, and we each have a role to play, and I get and I give back.
What I'm seeing and hearing is that sales enablement is more a mindset. It's more a functional description. It is more something that is a higher term than training, because let's say you remove training, then you're enabling ignorance. So the semantics can get in the way, but I'm encouraged by the link to the mindset, to the state of mind, and when Siobhan actually gave me the idea with the pillars that she has a very rational mind to say, hey, I have investors and I want to give them the ROI and I want to do everything I can to make that happen. And I want to help people navigate the information in a way that it's available, A, in real time, B, segmented by the phases of the sales process. Is everything right about the process of defining sales enablement?
If a company's focusing on that customer-centric approach, they're going to have a much better understanding of their sales enablement needs than really anybody else, because, following that need or aligning to that need within your organization, you're going to probably have some success. So, I absolutely think that we're on the right track, and I think that, you have so many great minds that, like Mike said, that showed up last week that had no hesitation of opening their mouths and speaking their minds and letting you know how they felt, but also joining in on the process and absolutely moving us forward. I can't wait to see what Ted comes back to the analysts with, and we're really excited to move forward.
Michael, it sounds like you are mapping unknown territory, and as you send out surveyors and analysts to scour the world of the unknown, they come back with something that will define a different world than what we knew before.
For 10 years, we haven't really asked ourselves, why are we doing this in the last 10 years? So we should ask ourselves, why is sales enablement important as a function and a role, and what has led up to that point? Why are there any standards for anything? Let's look at across the spectrum. Taking ourselves away from function and role, you might look at ISO. How did ISO come about? How did W3C come about? Or any of these other standards? And that's where we'll start to supplement information going into why are we doing this? Not only why are we defining it, why are we excited about this? Why are we identifying with this?
The role of a sales enablement manager is that of a silo buster, a bridge builder, a catalyst. There are different definitions, but underneath all that is the why. So, Siobhan, what is your why? I'm really curious about that.
My why is because I've seen organizations struggle. Everybody wants to help. Everybody wants to move the company forward. It's not like anybody is trying to stop this process from happening. The challenge was that it's very chaotic, and somebody needs to put the bumpers up around the chaos. So I like to use the analogy of a bowling alley, right? I give all of the sales managers and salespeople a bowling ball and say, shoot it. Right? Throw it down the alley. Now, I make sure the bumpers are there so that no matter what happens, the ball gets to the pins. Whether they take them all out in one go, yay, or maybe it takes a couple of tries. But the bumpers are there so they don't throw it in the gutter and it's lost exercise.
Dan, what is your why?
It's a safe place to try new things. It really is, and I think it's the motto. I think Michael told me it was one of our mottos. But I truly believe it. It is a safe place to try new things, because I would never be doing this today if I didn't think that. If it wasn't offered to me, if Scott didn't step up and challenge me to do different things, and Michael on a regular basis challenging me to do more, to challenge the definition process, to challenge the steps in the process. Everything, it's really exciting, and that's why.
Michael, you're an instigator.
Very recently, I saw a post on LinkedIn from an HR executive looking for HR software. Something very specific about this that's a really point that resonates well with modern shopping behaviors. So my story is about the change in buying behavior, and that's what's indicated the need for defining what we do. What I found most unusual about this post, when they said, can anyone help me? We're about to shop for HR solution to replace what we have, a legacy system. Not one salesperson in 2 days responded to that from any company in that post. What you got was, well, we just bought SAP. It's too early to tell, but we bought SAP. And here's another product. I don't want to say who they are, but here's another competing product that you could also look at. Someone else said, well, I have this other thing. We'd be happy to show you. 2 days, not one salesperson. So what is the point in this? The point is that the buying behavior, they're not filling out a contact form or a live chat. They're not, what's happened is that this buyer's journey, the sales motion is disconnected with where the buyers have moved. When you go all the way to the left side, they're asking their trusted network. They're not calling a vendor. They're not asking. By the time they call SAP, for us, they've already made a choice. So I believe the why, a big part of this is because our world is changing, buyer behavior is changing, companies are transitioning, business transformation is still a major topic, digitalization. So as we consider these changes happening so quickly and so vast, right? You have no choice but to Siobhan's point and some of Dan's, we're kind of knee-jerking to figure out how do we keep up with these changes. So let's call it sales enablement because it's convenient at the moment.
Well, my why is it feels right to be part of the Sales Enablement Society because of what you said, that the culture is changing, business is changing, we're going through an enormous digital transformation, and we're moving in the area of artificial intelligence, cognitive computing, virtual reality, machine learning, and we not only need to make people function better, but also we need to adopt new tools so we have all the right mindset, the right skill set, and deploy the right tool set. Mark, can you wrap us up based on what you've heard from everybody?
Answering the why is absolutely critical because that's going to get us to the ROI. At the end of the day, the VP of sales, VP of marketing wants to know the ROI. I came out of sales enablement. For 18 years in corporate America, probably half of that time I was managing, we called it customer planning, trade marketing, sales planning, whatever, but it was the group that stood in the middle. And I'll tell you what, until I had a seat in the boardroom, we were the punching bag. You have to be empowered because otherwise you become the punching bag of failure. But let me share with you a vision that I think is going to happen. We're in a state of complete disarray out there from a positive standpoint in terms of change and what's going on in the business world. Sales enablement is the first step of truly sales and marketing coming together and being one entity, one organization 10, 15 years from now. This is the front line, the front move. This is the front end of the movement, bringing everybody together.
For those who watch it on YouTube, please share button and subscribe to the Sales Enablement Best Practices channel on YouTube.